Well. Saturday, January 4th. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'm Bob Harris. It's time for my weekly Ask Me Anything live stream, the final edition of this season. Before we get to the questions and get into stufffootballguys.com, that's the website. Appreciate you joining me here every Saturday, as you have all season. And Tuesdays for the On the Hot Seat, I'll talk a little bit about the plan going forward here in a moment. But first, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, like me, share me. That seems so pleasant. Hope everyone's doing well. A lot going on today. I know not everyone's playing. I don't know if anyone's going to show up. Thought we would run through some things. I have a lot of thoughts about a variety of topics. We can talk about the Week 18 stuff if you like. I'll run through the injuries and kind of give you the quick assessment if you want of what's going on. Good morning, Lester. Where are we at? What was the final tally there in the Football Guys Bowl? Good morning, Albert. No worries, man. I can read all this. We'll get to this a little bit then. And thank you. And I know you're not here. We'll see you next season as well. And we'll see me all off season. We got a lot going on. Morning, Royal Slade. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Good morning. I am very handsome. It's true. You can't lie. There's truth in this. Good morning, Mauricio. ¿Cómo estás, amigo? I'll see you very soon in Las Vegas for our Football Guys retreat. A little strategizing and getting together. So if you're playing Week 18, 85th. Damn, Lester. That's pretty damn good. Rachel, good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. I hope you don't have a lot on the line. It's more contests or one and dones or whatever, and we're heading into some playoff fun. So we'll see what's going on there. Articles are out. Fantasy Notebook's out this week. My In and Out will be out shortly today. And yes, once again, I've taken chances. Good morning, Mr. Scampers. Thanks everyone for coming in. Thanks to everybody for giving me the time here this year. So let's talk a little bit about the plan going forward. A little bit. So this will be the last Saturday Ask Me Anything live stream at the moment. We'll work up a schedule. What I'm going to continue doing is the On the Hot Seats. I don't know if we'll do any more this month, but it'll be a guest and me chatting for an hour, just talking about some big picture things over the course of the off season. I like to do that and keep in touch with y'all because it makes me feel good about myself. And like, you're smart and you help me sort out what I need to be thinking of, right? That's the whole idea here. Excuse me. Got some things going on in football. A couple things I want to mention here before I get too deep in the woods and forget what the hell I'm talking about, because I always do that. We've got the Football Guys. We've got a postseason contest at the NFFC, and you should get in on this. It's a lot of fun. Let me just bring up the details because it does look really cool, and I think I will do it for the first time. It's a Hold'em event. Let me bring this up here. So there's two different versions of $200 buy-in with a $264,250,000 prize pool, $150,000 grand prize. There's a mini Hold'em, $50 entry, $97,000 prize pool, $50,000 grand prize. They're limited entries. So there'll be a lot of content up on Football Guys to check those out. Sigmund Bloom will be competing. Dave Kluge will be live streaming about it. So you should check all that out. Really cool stuff going on there. And I think I'm going to give it a shot this year. I've not played in this format before. Also, I'll be on the radio today from 4 to 6. Matt Donnelly and Jamie Calandro joining us. A final game day tomorrow, pregame show with Jeff Mans. But there'll be a change in the overall radio schedule a little bit. In that we'll go from Saturday shows to Sunday shows. It won't be a pregame show. It'll be like 10 to noon. It'll be me and Dempsey and not me and Mans. So that'll be going on. Then everything else will pretty much stay the same. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to midnight. There'll be nights we miss or whatever. We'll be preempted for other things. But for the most part, that's the schedule. And instead of Saturdays from 8 to 11, it'll be Sundays from 10 to noon. So there. So what's everyone got going this week? I see some questions about some lineup questions. I'll do those pretty quick. Let's run through just what's going on. Week 18 is a hot mess. That's why a lot of us aren't playing. We have games today. Cleveland at Baltimore. No Jerome Ford, no David Njoku, no Pierre Strong. They're all on IR. Bailey Zappi is going to start at quarterback. Good morning, Ann. Thanks for coming. Bailey Zappi is going to start at quarterback, and it sounds like Dorian Thompson-Robinson will play. It also sounds like Baltimore's a 20-point favorite. That's the biggest. That's the biggest spread they have. I don't think. What did I see the number was? During their 0-16 season, the biggest gap, the biggest underdog, they were like a 13-point. The Browns were 13-point underdogs. That was their highest. And this week it's 20 points. So the Ravens can clinch the AFC North and the number 3 seed with a win. So they'll be looking at that. And they need some help from the Steelers. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh today. Jermaine Burton misbehaving again. So he's been left behind. This is like the second time. We don't know the details on this one. Last time he missed a walkthrough. Chase Brown sounds like a true game time decision. T. Higgins expected to play. They're both questionable. Roman Wilson out on the other side of the ball. Steelers can clinch the AFC North and the number 3 seed with a win. And the Ravens lost. So they got that going for us. The Sunday games for the Carolina-Atlanta game. Atlanta Falcons can clinch the NFC South with a win, and Buccaneers lost, so they'll be playing to win. Carolina, Xavier Legette, questionable. Miles Sanders might come in. Isn't it like the guy can't quite seem to get it together? Hopefully he learns and grows from this because they may well need him next year because I don't think all those receivers are going to be there. By all of them, I mean T. Higgins probably moving on, as we all know. So looking at the Washington-Dallas game. Oh, by the way, for Atlanta, Darnell Mooney came up with a shoulder injury. Watch this one. He's questionable. I haven't heard a lot more about this, but it happened Thursday, and then he sat out Friday. So that's something to watch. Hello, Andrea. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you. On the last regular season of the year. So watch that Darnell Mooney. That's interesting. Like if I'm playing Falcons, I'm probably sticking with the Bijan, Drake, London range, but you might have needs that I do not understand and might need to dig deeper. So watch Darnell Mooney. Washington at Dallas. What do we got? Austin Eckler could return. I don't think he will. I think this will be a post, an after the year thing. Washington has something to play for. They don't have to go all out. If they get a big lead or something, you could see the starters come out there. Chicago, Green Bay. Travis Homer's questionable, but didn't practice all week. Christian Watson has a knee issue. He is questionable. Packers could move up one spot. And they're talking about playing to win. Anytime I hear the whole playing to win thing, I think, Josh Jacobs, though, needs one more touchdown to break a franchise record for, he's got 7 straight games. That's tied with Paul Hornung. Good morning, Dame. That's tied with Paul Hornung. Would they like to get him another touchdown to give him that record? Probably so. They get close to the goal line, I would expect to see him, but I don't know what kind of workload anyone there is going to get. I don't feel confident in this one at all. And maybe they play harder than I think. The Bears don't care. That's horrible. Hey, Gemma, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming. And see you next week. Houston to Tennessee. Nobody has a damn thing to play for in this game. And so I don't know what we're going to see. We know for the Titans, it'll be Will Levis as the starter. Tyler Boyd's out. Nick Folk's out. Tyson Spears out. Chig Okonkwo questionable. That happened late in the week. Don't know what it is. It's an abdomen. I hear that and I think, the sports hernia thing. Tony Pollard questionable. I don't know what we'll see. Nobody on the Texans injury report. So I don't know how they can't advance. They're locked into the number 4 seed. So I don't know if they'll be even, they haven't said anything about sitting starters, but I imagine some will be sitting. Jacksonville and Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson out. Oh, what a season. We can talk about that for a little bit if y'all want. And what our thoughts are. I had a discussion. Who was I talking to last night? Oh, Pat Fitzmaurice from Fantasy Pros. I think, we're not ready to give up on him. Am I going to look at him as a huge value next year and buy him super cheap? He's going to be 10-foot pole material for a lot of people. So you know what that means for me. That's like the green light. I will be drafting all kinds of cheap shares of Anthony Richardson. Some of that's going to depend, though. Is Shane Steichen back? If Shane Steichen's not back, I don't know what that and Chris Ballard, if they both go, that might not be a good sign. So, by the way, the best ballroom's open in the middle of February. I will be running through those mean streets. So if you listen to the radio show, you'll be able to jump into drafts with us as well. So check that out. Beyond that, though, neither team has anything to play for. But I do think, if I was playing Jacksonville assets, I want to play Brian Thomas Jr. or for some strange reason, see what I did here, Brenton Strange. I know he hasn't done a damn thing for a couple weeks, but it's a good matchup. I could play them. Jonathan Taylor, obviously a play. Buffalo, New England, Curtis Samuel, questionable. Jalen Polk out for the Patriots. Hunter Henry, questionable. Drake May, questionable. I don't know if we'll see any of those guys. Royal Slade, it sounds like it to me unlikely. Neither team can. Buffalo, we already know is going to sit. It sounds like Josh Allen and the starters. Josh Allen will definitely get a snap. maybe a series to extend his, consecutive start streak. But I don't think we'll see the starters for long there. And I don't know what we'll see from the New England Patriots, who are working their way into locking up that first pick overall, maybe. And even if they don't use it, boy, think of the capital they could acquire. They need a lot of holes to fill. New York and Philadelphia need to lock up that one, right? And then trade it, right, Royal? Because so many needs, they could really make some hay with that pick. We were talking about that last night on the radio program, Dempsey and I. New York and Philadelphia, nobody's playing for Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts is out. Saquon Barkley doubtful. A.J. Brown doubtful. Devontae Smith doubtful. Kenny Pickett questionable. I think we'll see Tanner McKee. I saw a question about that. We'll discuss. Will Shipley questionable. So Kenneth Gainwell seems like a reasonable play this week if you're doing that. And for the Giants seem to be playing to win. They don't have anyone on their injury report of interest. I don't know. I don't know why that would. Why they would do anything different than what they did last week. They could still get the first pick overall, but they would have to be the only 3-win team to lose. By the way, great article by Jeff Bell on the website right now. Motivations for the team by team, and also by position. So check that out if you're like playing in one and dones or whatever, or setting lineups. And again, I see some questions, and I will get to those here momentarily. I swear. I swear a lot, actually, if you knew me in real life. So, yes, the Eagles have nothing really to play for. They'll be the second seed. And so, again, the starter's not playing. New Orleans and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay win and in. They're in the playoffs with a win. They could jump the Rams for the third seed with a win and a Rams loss. So, they'll be playing all out. New Orleans, no Derek Carr, no Kendre Miller. Alvin Kamara doubtful, Juwan Johnson questionable, Chris Olave questionable. I don't know why they would run him out there. He's been practicing fully all week, every week, and they didn't play him last week. At least seems likely this might be your chance, kids. Clyde Edwards-Helaire awaits you in the running back position. So watch that one. For Tampa Bay, Kate Otten is doubtful. Sterling Shepard questionable. Seems almost certain Kate Otten won't play, and so if you want to use some targets of opportunity at tight end there, that's perfectly fine because they are playing to win. But man, Evans, Bucky Irving, Jalen McMillan, all day long. The late Sunday window, Kansas City's at Denver. The Chiefs have nothing to play for, and they're proving it with their injury report. Mecole Hardman and Isaiah Pacheco out. Kareem Hunt, doubtful. Travis Kelce, doubtful. Patrick Mahomes, doubtful. Multiple defenders, doubtful. The Broncos, meanwhile, are in a win and in situation. Expect them to go all out. I like Bo Nix a lot this week. Like the receiving core. Cortland Sutton has a big, like a $2 million bonus for like 8 or 9 catches or something ridiculous. Don't be surprised if they try to get him those. And I like the Broncos a lot in this game. You see that sometimes like the team that's not playing to win actually ends up doing much better. but it seems like if you're looking at the backfield for Kansas City, Samaje Perine and Carson Steele, it's like, didn't we do this earlier this year? Los Angeles. And by the way, the Broncos, there's some things going on with Miami and Cincinnati today. Will have some impact on their game. The Dolphins tomorrow. So I don't know if they'll be scoreboard watching or not. Oh, look at this. Wouldn't it be? Interesting stuff there. A lot of intrigue this offseason. Los Angeles at Las Vegas. So let's talk about that game. Gus Edwards out for the Chargers. Josh Palmer out for the Chargers. Amir Abdullah, you got your game. We thank you for your service, sir. Big game last week against the Saints. So won't get anything today. Maybe this is your 1 week of Alexander Madison goodness. The Chargers, I think they could be either 5th or 6th seeds. They'll know their outcome before kickoff. Steelers win locks them into the 6th seed, so they won't have anything to gain. The Steelers lose, then maybe that'll open them up to play a little harder. I don't see a lot of motivation there. Jeff Bell has them rated at an 8 of 10. Las Vegas, no motivation to win, motivation to lose. They looking to climb ahead of New England, Tennessee, and Cleveland, and see if they can get that first pick. As Royal Slade says, hopefully they'll just get have to trade for that pick. Seattle at Los Angeles. The Rams can clinch the number 3 seed in the NFC with a win or a tie or a Buccaneers loss or tie, they don't seem to care. Sean McVay is playing it safe in this one. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Matthew Stafford, Kyron Williams, all listed as doubtful, will not play. It's your Blake Corum show. Get your Jordan Whittingtons and your Jimmy Garoppolos and whatnot on. Let's go, kids. Seattle, Zach Charbonnet seems like he's in a good spot this week. And like I would say, all the pieces there. If he needed to play somebody, I think they don't have anything to play for, nor do they have anything to lose for. So look at them go. Miami at New York. Tua is doubtful. No Tua Tagovailoa. So Tyler Huntley will start again. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, both questionable. I think they will probably play. Tyler Conklin on the other side, questionable. The Dolphins need a win. Did I go away? Am I back? Odd. Okay. Let's see. San Francisco, Arizona. Brock Purdy's out. Deebo Samuel's out. George Kittle questionable. Damn it, I haven't been a one and done. Matt Prater is out for the Cardinals. James Conner, Trey Benson done. So Michael Carter will be the guy here. So he's maybe at a target of opportunity this week. San Francisco, Isaac Guerrero. The guys who are playing are plays, but neither team has anything to play for. Josh Dobbs will be the starter quarterback. Sunday night's the game we're waiting for. I know it's the game Rachel's waiting for, and my lovely Ms. Diehard are waiting for as big Vikings fans. David Montgomery out for the Detroit Lions. Khalif Raymond questionable. Craig Reynolds questionable. Everyone's good to go. Winner takes the NFC North. The top seed in the NFC. The loser gets the 5th seed. A tie would put the Lions on top. My Wi-Fi listed as totally doubtful. How the hell does that happen in a modern era? I think it's my computer. Honestly, my computer's been wrong. So I'm ordering a new computer, but you don't want to do anything during the season with your computer because it's like you don't have time to stop and figure things out. I have to do the whole backup and restore it. Like this computer that I'm on is like my oldest computer. So I think it's still using the Windows 7 or something. No, it's like 10, but I got to upgrade. So I got to go through all that stuff. Morning, Jeff. How are you? Yes, somebody did say Vikings. So, like, I feel pretty good. Like, I feel like if the Ravens are boat racing them, they're going to pull people. Also, if they're boat racing them, people like Flowers and Andrews will have something to say about it. Like, I'm a little dialed out on you wonder if the game script is going to call for a lot of passing. So it would have to happen early. On my in and out column this week, Andrews is the tight end I'm out on. Not because I think he won't be good. He's been touchdown dependent. I think he could easily score a touchdown. I'm out on him as the tight end 4. I think he'll still be a tight end 1. You're still starting him in season long. I just don't know if you're paying up for him in a narrower slate or in a one and done. So that would be the notion there, Jeff. And congratulations to Zay Flower for being the first ever wide receiver making the Pro Bowl. But I think, like I could see them getting out in front and, and whether they're dialing back the starters or just leaning more into the run, that would be my concern. As 20-point favorites, I wonder about that passing attack. All right, so let's see what we have for questions. By the way, I do have my fantasy resolutions if we want to go through those. If you have any of those, anything that you're going to do this season, any lessons that you've learned or anything that you're promising yourself you're not going to do. I know Sirius put out a big graphic with all our everyone's top resolution. My top resolution is pretty simple. I'm going to actually pay attention. I resolve. Bob Harris. I resolve to take heed of the lessons I learned this year, unlike every other year where I ignore all the lessons I learned, even though I promised myself I'm going to heed those lessons. So once again, I'm promising to keep a promise to myself that I never keep, because you get into drafts and you start like even in like the one and done. We're sitting here, we're doing our one and done on the radio program last night, and I have a plan. I'm sitting there and I'm going to execute the plan. I'm going to go ahead and do exactly what I thought I would do. And then I get the last pick and I go, I think I'm going to do something else. Why? Why am I doing something else? I had a plan. Why don't I listen to myself? We tend to do that a lot as fantasy managers, a lot of second guessing of ourselves, a lot of things. I think that's up against Henry. So yeah, that's probably true. How did Anquan Bolden not make a Pro Bowl? That is a fair question. Not to draft too good. Andrea here. This is a humble brag and not to draft so good. Andrea asks the hardest questions every damn week, right? Like every week I'm going, how? And they're realistic situations. They're just players that are outperforming draft expectations, and she has them dialed in, and it makes for some tough seasons. You keep drafting good. We'll make those decisions. Royal Slate, I'm going to be more patient with my bench. I hate seeing players I had to playing well for another manager. So this goes back to something I want to say around week 4. I was on the hot seat and we were discussing Mark Andrews, and I said it was okay to drop Mark Andrews at the time if you didn't have room, if you needed room, right? Because he was playing poorly and the situation seemed convoluted. I highlighted that, like, if you have room on your bench. So maybe that's the key to number 1 is get a deep enough bench, right? Like, and I know there's leagues that feature that. I'm in a league, Mike Clay does something, the Going Deep League. And it's basically, I mean, you're starting everyone but about 2 guys on your roster every single week. And there's nothing on the waiver wire. I mean, you're just like where it is. But that's the kind of the goal of the league. I think in regular leagues, man, leave yourself some leeway to hold on to players and be patient so you can be patient with the players. So many times, so talk about, a season being an evolution, and you can watch players that you were in on. Oh, let's go with like Chase Brown as a prime example. A guy that a lot of people drafted maybe a little bit late, but had high hopes for. And maybe there was a point through the first 4 weeks where you thought, man, I don't know if I can hang on to him. He's not going to do anything. And then week 6 or 7 hits and he's the guy, and he just becomes a dominant force down the stretch. And hopefully you were able to hold on to him, right? So those are the, you want to watch that, because I do think, investing in players you believe in can take time to come to fruition. So 100% behind that one. Lesson learned: don't assume players hurt in the preseason will be 100% during the season, or even 75%. That is one of my resolutions, is be more mindful of players who have off-season long, summer long injury issues. It's not like like I always say, I will draft anyone at the right price, right? Don't overpay for those. And I think we all did it with Christian McCaffrey. And that's another one of my big resolutions this year, is to diversify more. I'm in a lot of drafts, do a ton of best balls. And I think where I get like, Clayton Gray calls it take a lock, right? Like I have a lot of Anthony Richardson. The only reason I don't have 100% Anthony Richardson is because somewhere inside you have a limiter, right? A governor that says, man, I'm overweight on this player. You're looking and you're in multiple hundred of drafts, and you're going, okay, look at my share. There's a little high. And there came a point where pretty early on, because I had so much Anthony Richardson, I switched to Jaden Daniels, like who I thought was a cheaper version of Anthony Richardson. Turns out it was the other way around. But either way, I think that's something I'm gonna do. But 2 things: players who are hurt and players with contract situations realize that they're going to get off to slower starts. And if it's a hair splitter, like say Jamar Chase is holding out this year, and it's going to take me right up into the season before Mike Brown writes that check and gets him on the field, and I'm deciding between him and Justin Jefferson, right? Is it like that might be a hair splitter there, right? It might be, because it seems like some of these guys get off to slow starts. Some of them, Brandon Ayuk, get off to slow starts, then get hurt. But we saw it with CeeDee Lamb. We saw it with Jamar Chase a little bit this year. Like, again, it's not a you're off my radar. It's more of a, I need to think this through a little bit. And the same with the injuries, and like be more skeptical. That's another one of my resolutions, right? To like not take everything that I'm told as the gospel. And I did this with McCaffrey. I will say I had very good information on McCaffrey from people who talked to Christian McCaffrey, like, had real conversations with him, not like on-field interviews or whatever, but in-depth conversations, talked to people in the building, all had high hopes. And I mean, maybe they were okie doking us on the Friday before the game when he was questionable. They probably maybe knew more than we did. But I think leading up to that, they really expected the best case outcome there. And it just didn't happen, right? So I need to be more skeptical of all of that. Be more skeptical. Doesn't mean you can't buy players. This means to think it through a little more carefully and maybe consider other options or a wider range of options. Jeff Bolt, you are way too kind. Andrea got CMC at 103. Oof, that's a good pick there. Let's see what I'm missing here. Top resolution to look. This is important. And this is something I talk about on these live streams and on the radio program. Dempsey and I say it all the time. I say it all the time. Don't play my hunch. Play your hunch. Like, the thing I love about these live streams is you people come in here and you ask me questions like I'm the expert. I'm sitting here soaking up your knowledge because you're all at, like, play at a high level, right? And I get it. Not everyone, but I mean, for the most part, you're all like, you're paying attention and you have good instincts. You watch a lot of football. You've played the game for a long time and you have your own hunches. Play your hunches, right? It's okay within the same tier. And I think I've talked about this many times. The question that I get, most of the questions I get are the question is the answer. Like, it starts out with, I'm worried about X. So is it okay to play Y or Z? And the answer is almost always yes, as long as they're in the same tier. And I think most of these things are just sanity checks. Is it crazy to? Right? That's how that would be like, it's almost like when someone says, take out the garbage, the understood you take out the garbage. It's like the understood, am I crazy too? Right? So, and mostly it's not crazy. I mean, there are occasions where I think it's like a way bigger reach than I would make. And I'll say that. But again, you know, I'm not there on Monday. You can't chew me out on Monday. You're only going to punish yourself if you go against your own hunch and play a player you didn't want. And also, the consensus is not always right. That's the whole premise of my in and out column every week is I'm looking to leverage the projections. Two things about this. The team we have doing projections at Football Guys are very good. Very good. Almost had to do the big sorry Joe there. They're very good. Right. So, like, I'm looking for little areas where I can gain a little leverage over that thing. And it's a difficult process every week, but I have my opinions, right? They have theirs. I love rolling out my opinions. I am slightly below 500 on those picks this year. I think if I ended the season, if I go 9-0 this week, I will come close. I will be within shouting distance of 500. Like, when you're taking big swings, I think that's not like a totally unreasonable average, but like, there's reasons and logic, and I can explain every one of those picks, even if they don't pan out. And we know how that goes. These are my picks. I try to explain in the article every week. Don't do this one. Right? This is mine. But also, right, like, I think mostly that's about sharing the process. But disagree with the consensus. Believe in your disbelief, because it's okay. Right? Go in, but also check the rankings. Check a wide variety of rankings. You can do that at Football Guys. You can check against all the individual rankers. You can check the actual projections. I often check, you know, I've told you this before. My starting point is I take the projections from the staff, I import them into my rankings, then I make the adjustments I want to make, right? And there are players I'm going to be higher on and lower on. But I go back to those raw projections a ton, and I compare them to my rankings at various points in time to see where I'm at. And I listen to myself more than I listen to the consensus, because I've been doing this 30 years, dang it. And more than that, actually playing. And I feel pretty comfortable with what I see. And so if you don't, you can come here to question places like this, or check out the Fantasy Football Show or the Dynasty Channel. Check out Jeff and Jagger and see what they're thinking about your situations, and bounce it off people. But man, in the end, it's you in control. I sold JSN for CMC and got to go for the ship. Ooh, bold move. Congrats. Blake Corum was a league winner every week, according to the industry experts. There you have it. Not this industry. My concern for Blake Corum was, would he be a limiting factor? And this is another thing, another lesson I learned every year that I don't pay more attention to, but I talk about every year. Don't let your fears, our fears are funny things. The uncertainty creates a vacuum, and our mind sucks up every negative thing we can. It's like a self-preservation thing. Back in the caveman days, we didn't know if that sound outside the door was a mouse or a saber-toothed tiger, right? And so we would make it into a saber-toothed tiger just to, you know, take the appropriate precautions. We do that same thing in fantasy football. Blake Corum's there. Wow, that could be an issue for Kyren Williams. I'm going to dial back my expectations. Kyren Williams had other ideas. So did Sean McVay. But we don't know that going in. But it's something that I'm working hard to keep in check. One of the things I preach every year is not letting, poor quarterbacks scare me off really good wide receivers. I think it's proven out every year, yet every year it's a struggle. I listen to myself, and I've demonstrated it to myself time and time again. Yet still, I see people, and myself included, sometimes going, I'm not really, nah, I like this guy a little better, you know. And I think the prime example this year was the obvious ones. Marvin Harrison Jr. was going early in the second round based on the expectation he was a very good player, going to a very good situation with quarterback and Kyler Murray. Did not think the same of Malik Neighbors, who's maybe a better receiver, but was going into a worse situation. We definitely didn't think about Brian Thomas Jr., who didn't have a bad quarterback. We just didn't believe in the offense, right? So these fears that we overplay, it's easy to do. Jeff's point about Blake Corum, or what the coach has always done too. You know, like the coaches tend to be pretty predictable, whatever however we want to interpret that. If you go back and look, Sean McVay wants his guy, but he is willing to change. I'll say that. Like, we've seen that before. The switch from Cam Akers to Kyren Williams. That was a more complex thing than just a simple, hey, this guy's better. But but they are willing to change. But you've got to be on top of that. But yes, in general, coaches, here's the thing about NFL head coaches. Every week, they face a changing landscape. There is a new opponent, a new situation, maybe traveling, a different hotel, different food, different schedules, different game day, all these things. The head coaches would like nothing more than everything be exactly the same every week. So the degree to which they can control that and keep things the same, I think that's their tendency as a general rule. Every case is different, says Mauricio, but don't give so much weight to holdouts during preseason. So I think I've gone the opposite, Mauricio. I've given it no weight. I totally ignore it. And I think, in terms of hair splitting, then maybe it would be wiser to realize they're going to get off to a slow start. I mean, at least acknowledge that a slow start is likely, that someone like even CeeDee Lamb, didn't hit the ground running. He had a week of practice and he still didn't hit the ground running. Jamar Chase, it took a little time. So, but also don't let that scare you off. That's more of a thing to say, hey, am I going to get can I gain a little leverage here? Can I gain a little advantage? Are other people concerned? And play on those concerns, but realize it might be a slow start. But yeah, that's, the whole key to fantasy football is getting players at less than their full price, right? And those holdout situations, that uncertainty that we blow up into the worst is going to be a thing. But be mindful of it. Be mindful that they're going on. Be mindful that it might be a slow start and that you're going to have patience with those players. MJH played for a long time. His first pick was Jerry Rice. I believe my first pick ever was Dan Marino. That's been a while ago. Thanking Olamide Zacchaeus personally for helping. Congratulations, Mauricio. I was kept out of my playoffs with an amazing game by one of JJ Zach Reason's teams. Just ran me down from behind with an incredible performance. It was the big Jamar Chase game. So there we go. Well done, though. That's a big one. Winning a Kings Classic, and I have won some, is a big deal. Love it. More fuel on the fire around the Patriots cleaning house. Apparently, some around the league are intrigued by the thought of working with May and having the number one, according to Diana Rossini. Diana Rossini tries very hard. I don't know. Sometimes I think too hard, right, to get the scoops. I could see that, though. And can we see the Crafts going, oh, wow, we totally screwed this up? Or do they exercise a little patience with Mayo? I mean, if Mike Vrabel calls, do they have to listen to that? I think probably yes. Yep. That's the thing with, and maybe even with injured players, but on the injured guys, I need to get enough of a discount. Also, I need not to get locked in, I sit here and I realize, that the season is an evolution, and you've heard me talk about this before. Over the course of time, even the course of a week, I can be right, then wrong, then right again, right? And the course of a season is the same. So, I want to draft the players I believe in, and I want to have confidence in my projections and my outlooks on players. But, and maybe that's better if you're only drafting in a small handful of leagues, right? And you want to stick with those guys, but I need to diversify a little more and spread the risks out a little bit. And I think, you would think I would learn that lesson. Well, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago? It was the Jonathan Taylor #1 pick overall, the first year that he suffered the ankle issues. And it was a horrible disappointment. I think everyone probably drafted Jonathan Taylor #1 overall. I think, and I think this year, the goal is if I get 10, 20 #1 overall picks, I'm not going to have 10 or 20 shares of the same person. That's for sure. Oh, look at Lester. Lester, like Bob Harris, mature gentleman. Not crazy. I'll go with not crazy. I don't know if it's ideal. Funny thing about Brian Robinson Jr., like I like him. There's lots to like about him. Every time I try to trust him, he tells me not to trust him with his performance on the field. I would like to like him better. Gainwell's a target opportunity. Yeah, I mean, do I think he can get something done? Yes. And like, I think it's pretty even. Let's see what the projections are this week, because I'm sure they'll take that into account. Gainwell is 22, Robinson 20. So no, not crazy. Players within 2 of each other. I think the point projections are less than a point. Yeah. It's 12.01 points for Robinson, 11.65 for Kenneth Gainwell, playing with the great Tanner McKee. Flowers or McMillan in the flex. Like, I don't want to overstate the case. Jalen McMillan's been very good. He's been touchdown dependent. He's been scoring those touchdowns. It's a great matchup today. Like, I wouldn't blame anyone for swinging for the fence with McMillan and being a little worried about the things I talked about earlier in the broadcast. If you missed it, Jeff Blaylock had the question, like, do we trust the Ravens? I mean, if they're 20-point favorites, they get out to a 20-point lead, are we going to see them throwing the ball a ton? Also, though, like, something I always try to remind people, if a team gets up by 20 points, well, some of the players were invested in are part of the reason why they got up those 20 points. But you are going to probably lose some opportunities. This is very, very close. I will once again, I know I would probably lean towards McMillan myself. I think he's been better. I think the logical answer is probably Zay Flowers. Let me see what the projectors think of that. Yeah, it's like 19 and 27. So I think if you had the hunch on McMillan against New Orleans, the projected points, 14.5 to 12.5. So 2-point separation there. So I don't know that that's a game changer. And if the touchdowns happen for McMillan, so not crazy. Flowers probably the more logical play. Yes, exactly. I do too, Royal. I think we talked about that on the radio the other night. I think that's totally possible. I would play them in that order. I play DK, Harrison, then Waddle. Not trusting Jalen Waddle at this point. I do think he's going to play, though. Marvin has the most approved. This is true. But can he? I like, this is something we've been discussing on the Feel It or F It podcast, me and Matt Waldman. Waldman sees the weaknesses and some of the things we overestimated about Marvin Harrison Jr., right? And some things that he needs to work on that maybe some of the other young receivers, Brian Thomas Jr. or Malik Neighbors, don't need to work on quite so much. So that's the order I would like them in. You're welcome. I appreciate you. Hey, now. All right, let's go. There are some questions here from earlier that I don't want to miss out on that I starred like wisely, so I would not miss them. Because last week I missed questions that I did not star. Sometimes the questions move too fast. Any tips or thoughts? This is from MJH on one and done playoff fantasy in general for this year. Got burned last year by saving Philadelphia and Dallas for round 2. Still did pretty well. Look, I mean, you can't account for huge upsets. That's going to be part of the game. One of the things I like to do is like my onesie positions, I stick in one division. So that way, when I get to the Super Bowl or whatever, I'm going to at least have an option from the other conference, whoever it is, whoever makes it. Right. So like I'll go into the playoffs. I'll go into a postseason tournament and I'll just play all NFC quarterbacks throughout. So I have an AFC possibility no matter what happens, or an NFC possibility if I play my hand right. Same with kickers and tight ends. So that would be my big recommendation for that. And otherwise, the thing that I also do is I make the bracket, right? We lay out the bracket and try and figure out who I think is going to have the most games. That'll be very useful for you in the Hold'em contest at Football Guys and NFFC. You'll want to play in those. If I did not mention that, I think I did. I'll talk about that again in a minute before we leave. More questions. Let me make sure I get to the questions here. Achane, Dobbins, Charbonnet, Pollard. All right, Luke Stinges. Which two? Achane, Charbonnet for me. Achane and Charbonnet. I think, both teams, Dolphins likely playing to win and leaning into Achane seems likely. Dobbins, possible. The Chargers, there's two different routes. I kind of laid that out. If you missed it, I will lay it out again. I think the permutations are interesting. They'll know. That's the thing. You'll know and they'll know. But will you know in time to set your lineup? Do you have fallback options? I don't want to play Pollard. I don't know if they'll actually play him. What is the deal with Los Angeles? So Los Angeles, they'll know the outcome before kickoff. So a Steelers win today means they can't advance. So if the Steelers win today, that'll probably be the determining factor. If the Bengals win, they can move into the 5th seed and play Houston instead of Baltimore. Steelers win and a Ravens loss. So both those games today will determine if those outcomes come to pass, they'll be locked in and they probably won't be playing to win. So, and I don't know that you want to wait until late in the afternoon. The Charbonnet is also late in the afternoon, so you could sort it out that way if you so desired. I'd probably just play Charbonnet. Hi, Trig. Jalen Warren, Najee, B-Rob, Tyreek, Nico, or MHJ in my last flex, assuming Chase Brown is out. Probably benching even if he goes. Makes perfect sense. I'm probably going the man I don't trust, Brian Robinson Jr. in that spot. You can make a case for Tyreek if you're sure he's going to play. And the kickoffs would allow you all the pivots and options. Not interested in any Texans. Marvin Harrison Jr., if I have other options, I'm probably playing him. So that's probably the direction I would go. Brian Robinson Jr. would save you a lot of questions, but also doesn't have the same upside as Tyreek Hill. So maybe part of that is what you need, right? Like look at your opponent and check your projected scores and always do that, right? Like, if you're on Sleeper or wherever, do the projected scores. Not that should be the determining factor, but it gives you a little bit of an idea how your outcomes look with each player in there. Trig also wants to know Huntley, Aiden O'Connell, Drew Lock, or Tanner McKee. Boy, would like to think we're going to get another 5-touchdown game by Drew Lock going up against disinterested Eagles. Don't know that we will. Don't know that we won't. It's probably between Huntley and Lock for me. It'd probably be Huntley, especially if he has all his pieces in place. And you'll know that for both games. It's a sad day. Well, I am not necessarily the best, but thank you. Thoughts on Sam Darnold, JJ going forward in Dynasty? I can see a franchise tag. Tootsie Pop, Rachel, you want to chime in on this as a Vikings fan? What's the desired outcome? The wise outcome to me is they franchise tag Sam Darnold. They don't want to commit to him long term. They can wait and see what they have going. And JJ McCarthy, I know there's a well-known draft analyst out there, it escapes my mind at the moment, who believes that JJ McCarthy would be the first quarterback in this year's class if he was in this year's class. So it's not like the Vikings are going to bail on JJ McCarthy, but boy, wouldn't it be nice to give a guy time to develop, like a Jordan Love's type situation, as opposed to racing him in there. I do think Kevin O'Connell, makes a wider range of possible outcomes for a more positive range of outcomes for anybody who's quarterbacking for him, it turns out. So I do think they'll franchise. And look, Justin Jefferson has been very good. I will remind you again that we should not let, less than ideal quarterback situation scare us off. Like this year, Sam Darnold was viewed as a not ideal quarterback situation. A lot of times the quarterbacks play better than we think. Geno Smith in 2022, the comeback player of the year season. He was better than we expected. Baker Mayfield last year, better than we expected, right? Maybe going forward, JJ McCarthy would be going forward. If you're investing in the assets around them, though, I think I would keep an even keel, because I think in this case I would trust in Kevin O'Connell. But I do think that that franchising Darnold, keeping him and having a safe play makes perfect sense for me. Vikings need to keep him. I would agree. Oh, interesting. In the Patriots. That's going to be the sexy name. You know, there's been the talk that he doesn't interview well or whatever. He interviewed well enough that the Commanders wanted to hire him, and he just chose not to follow up on that. So, interesting. That would, yeah. I mean, what about Vrabel? I mean, is that like, to me, Vrabel is a proven commodity coming in, and maybe I just like his coaching style. The Vikings contingent speaks up. Rachel Darnold moved the needle for the Vikings. I agree. I think they need to keep him on the franchise tag. They don't need to. Oh, the transition tag. Dude, I just franchise. The heck with it, man. Just lock him up. Brian Thomas Jr., a top 2 round. Yes, I think so. Dave Kluge has his early rankings in the form of a draft, 3-round draft. He has Brian Thomas Jr., Brock Bowers, and Malik Neighbors all in his first round. Had Pat Fitzmaurice on the radio show. He did a 5-round, his first 5-round, kind of mock to get party started. Brian Thomas Jr. was also in his first round, as was Brock Bowers, by the way. So, yeah, I think Brian Thomas Jr.'s, it's only going to get better, right? And I think the big thing that flipped the switch for him was they started throwing him 10 passes a game, right? It makes perfect sense. Oh, look, he's good. Maybe that's enough to save Doug Peterson's job. Corum or Charbonnet, coin flip. Honestly, John, I think the rankings, they're so close to each other. Let me go to the raw projections here and see what the word is from the projection team. And I believe my rankings will reflect that. They have Blake Corum. They have Charbonnet 8, Blake Corum 12. I think that's pretty reasonable. I would play Charbonnet myself. I would probably play Thielen over Flowers, a big Gucci J. And a half-point PPR. Jacobs, like, I have an issue with the Packers equivocation talk. Scampers has been ridiculous. The play to win lingo, and probably not going to get 30 carries lingo. I think Josh Jacobs could play. I think they'll try to get him the touchdown so he can get the record that now tied with Paul Hornung for 7 straight games with a touchdown. I think if they get near the goal line, they'd like to give him the touchdown. I think Hall's maybe a little bit overlooked this week. I'd probably play Corum of that group. Blake Nolan Corum. I don't know all the middle names. Only you do, except I know one. Stone Smart's middle name is Cole. Stone Cole Smart. His parents were big wrestling fans. Go figure. This, according to Andrew Cooper, who knows more about tight ends than I know about anything. Genty is the discussion here. I see him mostly as a second rounder in the early mocks that I've seen. We'll see where he goes. I think that's probably the likely outcome, though. By the way, if you just tuned in, hi, I'm Bob Harris. Dang glad to meet you. See, I didn't do damn. Sorry, Joe. I'm getting better at this. I'm learning my way. If you don't know who I am Bob Harris. I'm from footballguys.com. You can find my work there, the Fantasy Notebook, every week. That goes kind of year round. My in and out column is out today. The week 18 edition. Needed to take some chances, so I did. Although I kind of kept it pretty narrow, didn't go wildly. Oh, he's going to be a running back 1 when I didn't have to say he's going to be a running back 1. I need some wins this week, people. So check those out. Also, check out a ton of content up there right now, including Jeff Bell's team-by-team motivations and position-by-position motivations. Who has what to play for today? I kind of tried to highlight that in the open. If you missed that, go back and watch the early portion of this video on the replay machine. It is available to you, the Audible channel. Also, go to the Fantasy Football channel and check out Kluge and Alfredo Brown. And I mentioned this, but I want to mention it again. The Football Guys contest with NFC, the mini playoff Hold'em, co-sponsored by us and NFFC. There's a $200 entries, there's $50 entries, bigger prizes for the 200. And it's a really interesting format. You pick your players, you pick a team of 12 players before the wild card round, only one player from each playoff team. After each round of playoff games, the roster limits per playoff team will adjust, and you'll have the option to hold a player or move them off your roster. And then you use a scoring multiplier. Each player's scoring will be multiplied by the number of weeks that player has been on your roster. So the longer you hold on to the player, the more points you get after the Super Bowl. The team with the highest points wins. Both contests close next Saturday, the 11th of January, before the first kickoff. So again, there's a $200 entry with a $150,000 grand prize. There's a $50 entry with a $50,000 grand prize. They're both limited, so get in on them while you can. You will enjoy the tournament. I think I'm going to try as well. There are other postseason tournaments out there that you can play into. Tons of stuff to keep you going in the league. You'll find me on the radio too, at least through the month of January. The schedule is pretty clear at the moment. So here's the deal. It'll be mostly the same schedule. The big change is no more pregame show after tomorrow. Jeff Mans and I will be on from 11 to 1, sort through some of these issues that we sorted through today with additional information. So check that out. Great run. I've been doing the pregame show on Sirius now for, I want to say 12 years with different hosts. It's Dempsey. I did with Elliot Harrison, one of my favorite people on earth. I remember him from NFL Network, a great guy. But for the most part, Jeff Mans, we have a great time doing these shows. I think we pack a ton of action and knowledge and information into those. So it's very fast paced. Do our press box tour again tomorrow. We'll kind of look to the future with those, but also the regular Football Die Hard show. So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday through January, 10 to midnight, just like normal, right? Today, Saturday show will be 4 to 6, not as usual. So check that out. Matt Donnelly and Jamie Calandra will be on with us. So listen to that. But then starting next week, the Saturday show moves to Sunday from 10 to noon. It'll be me and Mike Dempsey going through stuff. And then the off-season mode will kick in again on the video. The off-season mode, Football Diehards, we generally do at least one show a week, and we go deep. A dynasty talk, a lot of good stuff. Also, I'll be doing a hot seat show over the course of the off-season, so there will be some opportunities for you to interact, or for me mostly to interact with you, because I think that's the lifeblood of this, right? Is me understanding, the connection with the audience I get to feel. And that's one of the things I want to thank you all for. Like, it's such a pleasure to come here once or twice a week and get that connection, or the people that call in on the radio show to kind of, keep a finger on the pulse. What are people interested in? What are they paying attention to? What matters to them? Maybe not the same things that matter to me. And so I love that. Appreciate these kind words. I'm willing to factor in recency bias, overhyped fairness. Yes, all those things I love to talk about, and I'm glad you appreciate them. Start Ridley or Harrison. Will Levis is starting at quarterback. Boy, I'm tempted to go Marvin Harrison Jr., honestly. Get your Sorry Joe merch. I do have a Sorry Joe shirt, but I'm not wearing it today because Lord knows I swear a lot. Not on these shows, but a lot. If Chase Brown doesn't play, do you play Herbert? Probably yes. If that's my fallback option. I mean, I think I could do that. It would depend on your other options. But I think he is an option, right? A running back likely to get a lot of work on a lot of work on a really good offense. It's not the best, matchup ever, but I would play that. The middle names are coming out. Here we go. So I should have mentioned this. I didn't mention this. And so this kind of came out last night that we're probably going to see a lot of Trey Lance, right? So I think that would be Washington's defense would be perfectly suitable. I have to pick one of these two evils, the Vikings or the Chiefs defense. I'd probably play the Vikings defense. I think it should be a great Thielen weekend too. Yes. Reason for BTJ was keeper, CMC, BTJ, and Sun God. Wow. I mean, I think people are going to be a little down on Amon-Ra St. Brown this year. I think you're going to get some draft value on him based on some of the early rankings I've seen. So it's possible you can get him back. I do know, like, Pat Fitzmaurice for sure has BTJ ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Talked about this with Kluge, and it's escaping my mind. This is true, right? Like, the audition is ongoing. I don't know if teams are going to be looking at this and going, "Wow, that's a really good wide receiver." I don't know if the quarterback's so great, but the deep ball still eludes him. I don't know about this. I don't know that I agree. I don't know that I agree. I don't know that I agree. I don't know that I'll do it, but I don't know that I agree. I think Brian Thomas Jr. might be a better thing that I got, but some of this is going to depend on the coaching staff. Do they remain the same? Do we get a better coaching staff? Is Ben Johnson interested in working with a young Trevor Lawrence? Possibly so. Vrabel with Dable as the offensive coordinator. That would be a good duo. Interesting. Somebody has a conundrum. Can't have that. What to do with Brees? I do not want to get too cute, and I do not want to roll with guys who aided me in reaching this championship, but can I trust him today? Well, it depends on who we're trusting him, who our options are, right? I'll say this. Let's just put a stamp on it. My rankings pretty much reflect the projections on this one, so let's see where they're at. I want to say 20, running back 20, 15. They're a little so that's a viable, possible running back one upside. Yeah, I'd probably play that. I keep going back. Was it last year or the year before that different coaching staff, right? So, or different play callers. But I mean, what did Brees Hall get? Like 37 carries in a meaningless game against Miami? Was it last year? Now I have to look. Now I'm interested enough to go look. See what I did? Bear with me. 2024, 2023, New York Jets of football variety. Bear with me. I know this is taking way too long. I agree. It was last year against New England in Week 18. Royal Slate probably knew this. It was against New England. 37 carries, 178 yards, 1 touchdown. So basically, a lot of the same coaches there. So there we go. Isn't that interesting? But yeah, I would probably trust him. I'm not expecting 37 carries. I'm not going to get carried away, but yes. So this is the turning point here. Let's see where this discussion is going. I love Neighbors too, but I think Brian Thomas Jr. is in that discussion. So here's where I'm at on this. So looking at the early rankings, everyone I think had BTJ ahead of Neighbors. So I'm going to take the cheaper piece, and it's going to be Neighbors. But also Brock Bowers is in that same range in all those drafts. And would I not rather take him? Somebody had something about tight ends that I like. What was the tight end comment as a resolution? Damn it. I wish I would have seen that earlier. Because it's pertinent. It's to this point. Like, somebody wasn't going to trust the tight ends. Oh, here it is. Blaylock had it. Don't play full price for tight ends. Fear of missing out is overrated. That is true. 100% agree. Once you miss out on that top tier, who is the top tier? Is it Bowers, McBride, Kittle? 3 guys, maybe 4. Could be 5. I don't know. It's those 3 for sure. I think you're going to see Bowers and McBride going in a lot of drafts, and probably Kittle. And after that, 100% agree with this. There's going to be a lot of bums. No, there's going to be a lot of tight ends we could take. It's a good solo. Let's see. One album you should listen to right now. I would go with Lateralis if it was right now. Should we do the perfect albums? Should we do the perfect albums? Pantera, Vulgar Display of Power, Pantera, Seasons in the Abyss, Metallica, Master of Puppets, Megadeth, Rust in Peace, perfect albums. Alice in Chains, Dirt, perfect album. The Who, Who's Next, perfect album. What else? Perfect albums. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, is that perfect? There's moments that I don't listen to. Like, I think a perfect album is one I listen to every single note. There isn't a bad second on those albums. Do guys like Israel Abanikanda ever emerge to be a fantasy relevant? Probably not. I mean, it's possible, but probably not. The odds are not against you. In Dynasty, wait a minute. No, not time to give up in Dynasty. Like, I don't give up on anybody in Dynasty, ever. Like, I have receivers who haven't played for 10 years on some of my Dynasty teams because I won't give up. But I do think, like, running back is a position where things can change quickly. He's in San Francisco. I'd hold for now and see how it plays out. But it looks like the ship has maybe sailed for him. Big, fast, there's things he does right. He's a good fit for that system if he sticks around there and maybe they make some changes beyond him. I'm not ready to move on. Not ready. All right, I've gone over my time frame. Perfect albums. I need one more perfect album. Help me out. I think our work here is done. All right, everybody. Bob Harris, thank you all for coming all season long. This has been a great, the Boston debut. Look at you. Rust in Peace. Not a bad note. Like some really underrated tunes on that as well. The Boston debut, that was fantastic, right? I remember when that came out. Thank you, Royal Slade. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you coming. Again, there'll be hot seats over. You'll watch my X feed. Like the Quadrophenia, I'm more of a Who's Next. I do like Quadrophenia. I like everything about the Who. Big Keith Moon fan. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming, Jeff. Appreciate you. We'll get you on the hot seat here over the off season. Hi to Wally the cat. Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate you. Appreciate y'all for coming. And Working Man's Dead. Look at you go. Look at Jeff coming out of nowhere. All right, everybody. That's it. Again, radio today, 4 to 6. Radio tomorrow, pregame show. Plenty of stuff going on at Football Guys. Keep coming, postseason contests and other fun stuff ahead. Love and appreciate you all. And it's been a great season. I hope you all had great success. And look for me. Watch my X feed or my Bluesky feed. I'll be there too to inform you what's going on. The initial Kansas album. Look at you people go. Point of No Return. Is that the perfect album? All right. Now you got me on the music. I might not go away. Yes. Early Chicago. The self-titled. Okay. Love that. Love Chicago. We will do a dedicated episode of what I learned this year. We will be doing a lot of that, a lot of introspection, retrospectives, and things like that. So expect that for sure, David, and I appreciate the comment. Beggar's Banquet. Not my lane. Not bad. Like I appreciate all good things. That's not bad. I have a producer on Sirius who's a huge Stones fan. I'm not. I'm just that was never my brand, right? Terry Kath, yes, was amazing guitarist. I'm not a Stones guy. Just that's not my lane. I'm not this is going to be sacrilegious. Some of you are going to judge me. I'm not a big Beatles guy either. I mean, it's okay. I don't not like it, but like I like other stuff better. Hendrix, that is the big rumor out there that Hendrix said what it was like to be the best guitar player. He said, I don't know, ask Terry Kath. Just how it is. All right, you got me on the music. I have to go. Thank you very much. Love you. Goodbye.